Hey, welcome everybody. It is the UHSAA Bracket Reveal Show presented by UCCU. Devin, Dixon, Kaden, Foremaster. We get the privilege and honor of sharing with you the matchups for the upcoming state championships. Kaden, I'm excited.
I'm super excited. Yeah, let's get on into it.
Yeah, we're going to do the 4A first, and we've got some guests lined up, and we're going to get through all of the first-round matchups here on KSLSports.com. Let's jump right in. Your number one overall seed is the Desert Hills Thunder. They will sit back in the regionals and await the winner of the 16-17 matchup. That is Stansbury and Juan Diego.
Yeah, Stansbury, Juan Diego. It's a fun matchup, but it's one where Stansbury has seen themselves come out on top 3 times. In that region, they play 3 games throughout a series. Stansbury's won that 3 in a row. So for Juan Diego, they got their work cut out for them. Hopefully, for Juan Diego's sake, they can try to still win. Hopefully 2 away, of course, try to get into the super regional. But Stansbury's come out on top in that one in the past. And then we move on to the Mountain Crest Skyview matchup.
Yep, 9 versus 24. Obviously, Mountain Crest will be favored in that one. Skyview just sneaking into the bracket here. These 2 teams know each other really, really well. And Crimson will be the 8 seed and await the winner of that matchup. Crimson gets swept at the end of the Region 9 season by the Dixie Flyers. Thought maybe they were going to be up as high as maybe 5, as low as 7. Didn't really think Crimson would fall all the way to 8, but they do. And that means if it goes chalky, we could have a Region 9 matchup there, the 1-8. And, of course, we saw a walk-off. We saw a split series in the regular season between the Mustangs and the Thunder.
Yeah, that was actually a really good series, and Crimson proved why they're one of the top teams in at least Region 9, but they're one of the top teams in the state of Utah. So coming in at number 8, they're a sneaky number 8.
They are. The past champs, obviously, 2 years ago winning the title. Last year's state champs, Snow Canyon. Since 2015, the 4A, or back when it was 3A winner, has been a Region 9 team since Grantsville in 2015. So looking for another year where they flex their Region 9 dominance. 4 teams in the top 8, including the ones you see right there. That is quadrant number 1. Let's go to quadrant number 2 here on our reveal show. This is interesting. Cedar the 12, Tooele at 21. Cedar will host the best of 3 series, and then Park City as the 5 seed will sit back and await the winner. And Cedar's got a couple thumbers that really throw some breaking balls. We saw them beat Snow Canyon 2 weeks ago, Kaden. And you better be able to hit a curveball if you're Tooele or Park City. Cedar is kind of a dangerous double-digit seed, and that's how that part of the bracket will lay out. You can see on the bottom half of the bracket a Region 9 matchup in the regional this Friday and Saturday. We'll have actually that game Friday live on the Fan Sports Network as the 13-seed Pineview will take on the 20-seed Hurricane Tigers. And then Timpanogos, Coach Nelson, they had a good team last year. They got another really good team this year. They come in as the number 4 seed, and they await the winner. What jumps out at you when we look at quadrant number 2?
So looking over here, first off, as you mentioned, yes, Cedar against Tooele. It's a matchup where, Cedar last year struggled a lot, and this year they took one of those big leaps forward, and they have a really good ball club there. So Cedar definitely going to be favored in that one over Tooele. But again, as you mentioned, a Region 9 matchup. We've seen these 2 teams before. In fact, the most recent matchups that these 2 teams have had were against each other. So they're going to be seeing some familiar faces when they head out on the field on Friday. And of course, Pineview won both of those matchups over the course of the last week or so. And so Pineview going to be favored here after winning those 2 matchups.
And Hurricane doesn't win a region game, but they were in a lot of games. So we'll see if the second part of the season, the postseason, goes better than the regular season did. Preseason was good for Hurricane, and then they got into region play. They go winless, but the 20 seed, they're still in the bracket with a chip and a chair.
And I will say it's kind of an unlucky draw for Hurricane, because I thought if maybe they played a team outside of Region 9, they might be able to show just how tough it is to play in Region 9, because maybe they could go out there and surprise a team. But playing against a fellow Region 9 team in Pineview is going to be really tough, because even Pineview being at 13, they did get kind of beat up on by some of those other region opponents throughout the regular region play season. So it's going to be a little more difficult for Hurricane in this sense, because they are playing against a really good team in Pineview.
Park City, of course, the 5 seed. They're led by Nestor, and Michaelis. Those guys absolutely hitting it well. 460 for Nestor. Michaelis hitting 494. Team batting average for the 5 seed Miners is 356. So they're swinging it. You look at Timpview, legendary coach up there, 18-7 record. They did play Crimson Cliffs in the preseason, so we did get a look at them against a team from down in St. George. Crimson won that game 4-2, but 18-7. They're the 4 seed. Timpanogos was not in the top 5 rankings in the last Des News poll, but they are in the top 5 in the RPI, and that's where it matters most. Last time out, yesterday, they won a shootout 13-12 last night over Westfield, which probably helped them solidify that 4 spot. Maybe Park City and Timpanogos would have flipped if Westfield would have won that game. But 13-12, 29 hits last night in that game.
Yeah, that's
a
phenomenal.
Shootout, baby.
That's phenomenal. I love that.
Let's go to quadrant number 3. Here we go. Uinta comes in as the 15 seed against Mountain View, the 18 seed. Winner of that best of 3 series this weekend on Friday and Saturday. We'll get the defending state champ, Snow Canyon Warriors, and Coach Seacrest and the boys. They absolutely swing it. They've got some really good pitching. Their top 4 pitchers, Dewey Gibb, Andrew Lyon, of course, leading the charge. So that's the matchup in quadrant number 3. Then Provo, the 10 seed, Logan at 23. Winner gets Bear River. Got to go up to Garland, Utah to take on a team that always seems to be into bracket play the last few years. They're well coached, and they want to make another run at a state title as well.
Yeah, so I want to start with Uinta here. Let's talk about them because this Uinta Mountain View matchup is one that we've seen before and just recently here in the month of April. Again, this is another one of those where you look at the seeds, it's pretty close, 15 and 18, not that far apart. But Uinta swept that series in a 3-0 series. So again, Uinta going to be favored here. They're playing on their home turf. Mountain View's got to step up. They played some really good games, really close games. First game was 16-10, high scoring. Next one, 14-12, close and high scoring. And then 13-9, close and high scoring. I mean, each one of these games was, as we mentioned before, this is a shootout. This could be a shootout matchup. Expect a lot of runs to be coming across the plate.
Yep, and then they get the defending state champs if they can win that. But they want that opportunity, right? They want that opportunity to play the Warriors who earn the 2 seed. You wondered when they split with Desert Hills if they could have swept, if they would have surpassed Desert Hills as the number 1 seed. But with the split, it stayed the same. Desert Hills 1, Snow Canyon stays at number 2. That's going to be fun to see how that plays out. Bear River, by the way, this is a team, when you look at their team statistics, only hitting 308 this year. So not hitting it at a team, like a good average in high school baseball is anything north of probably 320 as a team batting average. We see that as probably a pretty good number, just a shade below that. Still, as a team hitting over 300, they kind of seem like they're known lately for scoring runs. They're 17-7. They were 8-4 in their region. Max Preps has them ranked 22 in the state of Utah, and they'll get the winner of that Provo-Logan matchup. And Provo, of course, will be favored in that best of 3 series this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am really looking forward to whatever's going to happen in that the super regional rounds as well here, because both Bear River and Snow Canyon are tough teams, and whichever teams comes out of that first round through the regional round, they're going to have their work cut out for them for sure, taking on the Warriors and the Bears.
All right, moving on to the final quadrant here of our 4A state reveal on KSL Sports, presented by UCCU. Love where you bank. Westfield, just mentioned them losing that shootout to Temp last night. One of the newest schools in the state of Utah gets the 22 seed in Green Canyon, and the winner will get the co-Region 9 champ, the 6 seed Dixie Flyers. And we're going to talk with Coach Chandler Nyberg here in just a second. He'll be a guest here on the Reveal Show. We'll get his thoughts on the bracket. And then on that bottom of that bracket, there is Cottonwood at 14. Payson is the 19 seed, and they sit back and wait. The winner and Ridgeline will be resting those 2 arms. They got 2 really good pitchers I've heard a lot about. I have not seen Ridgeline live this year, but I hear they got a nice 1-2 punch in the pitching department.
Yeah, they do. There's a reason why they're number 3. And we talked a lot about how Region 9 and St. George has been just a really good breeding ground for championships. But Ridgeline's going to try to make something out of Northern Utah baseball, right? They want to prove that they also are at the top of their game. They come in as a 3 seed, and they've got a lot of talent up and down the lineup. So they're going to be tough. Looking over at Westfield, though, another one of those teams in that region up there in Region 11. So they've played Green Canyon, of course, before. They've swept them in that series. Green Canyon kind of having a down year there. So Westfield looking to try to move on to face Dixie, and that game would be here in St. George. And then, of course, Cottonwood Payson, another good close matchup there. But they got to take on the 3 seed, and that's never going to be easy, whoever comes out of that first round.
Westfield, good good team batting average, 324 as the 11th seed,
Yeah.
but the ERA up a little bit, 4.79 as a staff. And let's talk with head coach in his first year. He's alumni of the Flyers. He won a state championship when Jeff Messerly was the coach, and now he's taken over for Danny Ibsen in his first season. Chunner Nyberg joins us here on the Reveal Show. Coach, thanks for taking some time. Give me your immediate reaction as you see the Flyers get the number 6 seed.
Yeah, right on. First off, thanks for having me on here, Dev. I appreciate you. I mean, yeah, my first thoughts being at number 6. I mean, just like you guys said earlier, you look at the top 8 in this 4A division, it's like, wow, there are a lot of good baseball teams in this division. You know what I mean? So first off, that's what I see. I'm like, holy crap. I mean, I get laser focus, when it's a region, it's like that's all I kind of look at. And so when you get to the state tournament and you look at the bracket, it's like, holy crap, trying to win your region. And then you go to try to win a state championship, and it's like, man, this is a loaded division. So, I mean, honestly, my first off the cuff, just seeing this now, number 6, I mean, you always feel like you deserve better, especially when you're the one coaching your kids and you know how hard they work and how quality of a program you have. But I mean, if we go to that 5 or 4, it looks like that other half of the bracket is just loaded with, I mean, like you guys said earlier, Crimson, heck of a ball club. I mean, them falling to that 8 spot, if we would have been up, just at that first glance, it looks like it would have been, Desert Hills, us, and Crimson on that one side, which would be crazy, So, I mean, honestly, at the 6th seed, I mean, and really at the end of the day, we, like you said earlier, we were co-Region 9 champions, which is a huge deal to us Southern Utah schools. But to hold the big trophy, you got to beat everybody, And so I don't look too much into or pay too much attention in the ranking. I just kind of look at the bracket, who do we got first, and we gotta take care of one game at a time. And if you're gonna hold the big trophy, that's where your focus has got to be.
Flyers, you guys played a tough preseason. How much did the preseason help or hurt you this year in the RPI in your first season, Coach? Do you think?
Yeah, I get a lot of people on the outside, Dixie fans, former coaches. I have a lot of good people that have helped mentor and give advice and, give their 2 cents, which is great. A lot of them have said, maybe you should, kind of cut back on that powerhouse preseason, for the RPI. And there's 2 sides of that. You can play a lot of schools that you just think you're a little bit better than and kind of beat up on them and bump your stats and whatnot. I kind of take the other approach. You know how Region 9 is A, and then the state tournament B. You know how much pressure and how much goes into that, and emotions, and just that buzz in the air. You know what I mean? We load up our preseason. I mean, we had Maple Mountain, we have AF, we have PG, we have a tough Arborview. We have Bear River and Park City. If you look at the top 8, they're in there. Those are the kind of teams. Mountain Crest is in there. Our preseason is really Sky Ridge. It's loaded. You know, but at the end of the day, regardless what our RPI ranking is, or regardless how many of those games we drop, our troops are battle tested, man. We've seen arms after arm after arm, and I mean, you see how we finished the region season.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that goes into that. We've had the pressure, we've dropped some of those games. We hate losing, so I think all that goes into consideration when we get to Region 9. And in those big moments, we've been able to deliver. And a lot of that I attribute to that tough preseason.
I got to ask you here on the Reveal Show with a statewide audience. You have Jake Andres, who's the ace of your staff, and then you got some other great pitchers, Carson Hunt, Larkin. They got all these guys, but you have, to my knowledge, the only girl playing baseball in the state of Utah. It's Jake's little sister. She's a sophomore,
Yeah.
Jordan, and she really looks like your number 4 pitcher on the staff. And I've seen her just a couple glimpses in JV, man. She's pitched 20 innings of varsity almost this year, and she's got really good stuff. She's a go-getter. Can you tell us what it's like coaching her on this Flyer team and how that integrates with the culture you're trying to build in your first season?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could probably see as you talk about Jordan how I get a big smile on my face. I mean, I would say she's sneaky good, but she's just downright good. She just shoves. I mean, it's crazy because I mean, I said this to our team, who would have thought that me in my first year as a head coach at Dixie High School, the first win I got as a skipper is a girl on the mound. She just goes out there. She just does her thing. She's one of the hardest working people on our whole ball club. She just puts her head down and goes to work. And when she's pitching, I mean, there's been a couple times where I've had to take her out of games, and it's like she doesn't want to give you the ball. And it's like there's been a couple times where she's thrown and done really good. I want to say at the first year she went a CG. She went the whole game in that first win, and her pitch count was getting up a little bit, and I kind of walked out to call time, and was maybe, and it was just kind of like, I'm good, like get off the mound, and it's like, all right, she wants to stay in, let's go get the win. She's just good. She's just a good player and a good person. Our team loves her. And I mean, growing up with Jake, her IQ of pitching, and their dad, Braden, I mean, he has a very good baseball knowledge and how to pitch. They're not just hurlers up there that are athletic that can throw the ball well. They really understand pitching and how to get people out. Um, she's just good, man. And she is kind of, we've got those three arms, Ethan, Carson Hunt, and Jake Andreas. And then from there, you've got Jordan, you've got Lark. We've got a lot of good arms, but she does fall right there, and she'll surprise a lot of people. So
look forward to seeing her potentially in the upcoming Super Regional. Connor Nyberg, coach of the Flyers. Coach, thanks for stopping by. Kaden, you got a question for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, I just wanted to ask you as we go into going into the playoffs here, with this being your first year, just tell me, is it a level of nervousness, a level of excitement, or just a solid mix of both?
Everyone gets nervous. If you don't get nervous, I don't think you want it that bad. So I'm definitely nervous and excited, but you know, like I say every time I kind of talk to people, our kid, the hay's in the barn. Our assistant coach, Jagan Levitt, he always tells the kids, the hay's in the barn. We do a lot of work in the off season that nobody sees. And to my knowledge, I don't think a lot of other programs do, where we're showing up 5 a.m. to weights and every single person's there and it's not mandatory. Our team, we work very hard. And so we're definitely prepared. And we just kind of look at it one game at a time. If you get too much into it and you think too much, you get overwhelmed because the 4A division is so tough. The Region 9 division is so tough. Kudos to all those coaches and kids, in the state and in the region. Such good kids, such good programs. So for me, if I look too far into it, I get overwhelmed. I just like to look what team's in front of us. Let's take care of that because you can really, trick yourself and get yourself too nervous if you look at, and that's just a kudos to the quality of programs we have. So just take care of the problem in front of you and move on from there. So
Chunner Nyberg hanging out with us here. Chunner, enjoyed. I know you got to make some calls. You got to start scouting the matchup there
right.
With Green Canyon and Westfield. And good luck. I know you got the week to do that, and we'll see you next weekend in the Super Regionals.
Right on, guys. Thank you so much for having me on, and I appreciate you.
All right, Chunner, awesome. Thanks for the time there. And look, one game at a time mentality, but you do have to have a plan, and he does. Yep. I was very impressed with Chunner Nyberg in the Crimson during the end of the region season. He went and had a 1-run lead, put Jake Andreas in. I wasn't even thinking he would go to Jake, but Jake stayed under the 30 pitches in that game. He was able to have a day's rest, come back and start the Friday matchup. They end up sweeping Crimson, and that at least solidified that 6th seed, right? You split those games, maybe they move down. Thought maybe they would get up to 5. They don't, but he seems fine with the slot in the bracket.
Yeah, it was an interesting move from a coach, especially in his rookie season as a coach, right? It was a veteran move. It was a veteran move, and I think that's a good sign for him and a good sign for the Flyers that they made the right choice with picking up their new head coach.
All right, again, the reveal show, that's the 4A bracket. We're going to reveal the 2A bracket now, presented by UCCU. To do so, we brought in the expert Mid-Utah sports director, Robert Lovell, good friend of mine. Robert and I used to work together many moons ago, and excited. We've had him on before during this reveal show when we've had the opportunity to host it, and we bring him on again. We loved you so much. We brought you back, buddy. Good to see you, Robert.
Hey, I love doing it. I appreciate you bringing me back.
All right. I mean, he knows more about the 2A bracket. He covers games. They do a ton of games on the radio up there on many different radio stations with Mid-Utah. And let's get right to it. Kaden, I'll give you the honors. Let's reveal the 2A bracket. Here we go, baseball fans.
All right, let's get on into it. First up, we got our 4A baseball tournament up there, so let's switch that graphic around. We'll get a 2A for you in a second. There we go. And we've got, of course, San Juan picking up that number 1 seed. They're going to play the winner of Monticello and Grand. The 8-9 matchup, always a fun one there. And then, of course, the Kanab and Millard matchup, the 4-13 seed. Then we've got the Severes battling it out. South Sevier, North Sevier. Robert, break this down for us. Tell me a little bit about what you see. Let's start with that first matchup of Monticello and Grand.
Well, that should be a fun matchup. Monticello's been a nice surprise this year. Been a better baseball team than they have in years past. They've got some decent pitching, and so that should be a fun matchup. The bracket worked out really well for geographic reasons, travel reasons, with the Monticello, Grand, and San Juan all being in Blanding. And so it's not Enterprise going to Blanding or Duchesne going to Blanding, but just the three schools that are right there in that southeast corner of the state, all playing each other in that area. San Juan, obviously the heavy favorite coming out of that portion of the bracket, that pod, as the number 1 seed coming into the tournament. Grand looked pretty good yesterday, though. They got a split with Duchesne and a doubleheader yesterday to end the regular season. And I would favor Grand in that 9-8 matchup, but it should be a fun one there between those two teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a phenomenal matchup for the 8-9. As you mentioned, geographically speaking, it's good for both these teams. They're not going to be running off of an 8-hour travel day or anything like that. So it's good for the proximity sake of it all. And then also to go down to San Juan's not too much further. So that corner of the bracket's pretty good for travel.
Robert, how much have you seen San Juan? Was this a clear-cut number 1 was it an easy, the RPI did its job. They're 20-4. They only lost 1 game in region play, if I'm not mistaken. How good is this Broncos team?
I like San Juan. They're a good hitting team. I think if you talk to most coaches in 2A, they would put San Juan as the 5. And so I don't think it's a clear-cut number 1. I think that's why you're seeing 2A make the push to use Max Prep's ranking system in all sports, not just in baseball. But to go to that system, the 4 teams out of the 2A West, I think everybody would put ahead of San Juan. But having said that, San Juan has done what they needed to do to earn the number 1 seed. They've won the games that they've played. As you said, just the 1 loss in region play to Gunnison Valley, who comes in as the 6th seed. Those 2 teams tied for the region championship out of the 2A East. It's a good San Juan team, a good hitting team. There's some question marks maybe about their pitching, but Jayton Knight has been very good this year. Callan Mendoza's tough on the mound as well. So it's a good Broncos team. I think most people would just put those 4 teams out of the 2A West still ahead of them. But look, they've earned the number 1 seed based on the criteria, and so they've got that spot.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Kanab and Millard. So Kanab comes into this one. As you mentioned, the Max Preps rankings put them at 5th, but they get 4th here in the RPI rankings. Kanab this season has been really good, but that's a tough baseball region right there. So they come in again at number 4.
Yeah, of course, Kanab's a 2-time defending state champs, right? And so they come in as that number 4 seed in the RPI. They're one of the teams that I would put as one of the favorites to win it. Coach Craig Brinkerhoff does such a great job at building his team all season long. They get better as the season goes along. It's a young team. They routinely have 5 sophomores in the starting lineup, a freshman occasionally in the starting lineup. So it's a young team that Kanab has, but I think they take the mentality of Coach Brinkerhoff. He's just calm, level-headed, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. They just go about their business and get the job done. Cannon Verasco, a sophomore, has been leading him at the plate this season. He's been huge. Walker Baird's been another sophomore, has been the main pitcher on the staff this year for him. So they're a young team, but they have some good senior leadership as well, and guys like Kel Glover, who we've seen be a leader on the basketball floor as well as on the baseball diamond. And Logan Vader as a pitcher helping lead that way as one of those seniors. But it's a really good Kanab team. They're the heavy favorite over Millard. Millard has had a little bit of a rough year this season, but hopefully they can go down there and make some noise. But certainly Kanab is the heavy favorite.
Yeah, 335 batting average for Kanab, and Kabonic 385 as well. Another guy that can really swing it at the plate. So it can be fun to see how that one plays out. Give us your thoughts on the battle of North and South Sevier, Rob.
Well, I told you I have 3 teams that I would pick as the favorites to win it all. South Sevier, I think if you ask most coaches in 2A, they will tell you South Sevier top to bottom has the most pure talent on the roster in the lineup. South Sevier is a team that won it 3 years ago, and the seniors now were freshmen. Several of these current seniors either started or played in that state championship game. And so they're used to being there. They've played in the last 2 state titles, losing to Kanab in both of those ones. But they come in as a heavy favorite over North Sevier. A little bit of a down year again for North Sevier. They've struggled this season. They've had some moments where they look pretty good, but they've had a lot more where they've been very down and very inconsistent. So South Severe is certainly the heavy favorite there. I think they have maybe the best pure baseball player in 2A in Peyton Ingram for South Severe coming out as the catcher. He hits to all fields. He's certainly a great player as Ingram. They've got other great hitters and guys like Biggs Northrup and Jagger Reds having a great season for South Severe. Cameron Hesse. Pitching-wise, I think they have one of the top 2 or 3 pitchers in 2A as well in Riker Freeman, left-handed pitcher that certainly knows how to get the job done. So obviously, Kanab, South Severe, heavy favorites in their first-round matchups. They've got to go win them. But the intriguing one is, of course, when they play each other later in the day in the 4-5 matchup, as long as they both get the job done. That's a huge 4-5 matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a really solid 4-5 matchup. I believe that they battled it out I think they played each other 3 times, if I'm not mistaken, and they split those with wins on both sides. So, that's going to be a great matchup if that does indeed turn out to be the game later in the day.
Yeah, it should be fun. Yeah, they just played the 2 times in region play with Kanab winning both of them. And so Kanab did pick up both those wins. They were both good games. And like I said, Kanab beat them the last 2 years in the state championship too.
Yeah, and it was close. They went 9 innings in that final game. So it was really close in that one. So we'll see how it all pans out, though, throughout the bracket. Let's move on to the bottom half of the bracket here. Leading off here is going to be Enterprise at the 3 seed, and then Water Canyon at the 14. And then followed that, we've got Gunnison and Parowan. All those matchups will take place in Enterprise, as they will be playing those 3 games there. Then we move to Beaver High School at the number 2 spot. They'll be taking on North Summit first, and then Milford and Duchesne battling it out. And then, of course, winners move on. Let's go back to Enterprise, though, starting off right there. Again, we talked about how good this region was, and especially when you look at teams like Enterprise, Beaver, Kanab, South Severe, all of them just beating each other up throughout this entire season. But that Enterprise Water Canyon, let's break that down.
Yeah, Enterprise, of course, coming in as a 3 seed. I know you're going to have Coach Bundy on coming up here as well, and we'll look forward to hearing what he has to say. Certainly a great coach for the Wolves. And Water Canyons, they're what Water Canyon are, right? It's not going to be a good game. Enterprise is going to dominate that game. The Wolves have, who in my opinion has been and is the best pitcher in 2A, in Parker Staley, and he has been awesome this year. And Staley's not just a great pitcher, but a great hitter as well. So he's going to be a crucial guy for the Wolves in their attempt to make a run at a state championship. They'll save him obviously for game 2 on Saturday, because that Gunnison Parowan matchup is very intriguing. Gunnison beat Enterprise earlier this year. Parowan's not a walkthrough though. They're going to have to work to get through Parowan, and I would expect that they're going to try to save Braxton Pickett to be able to throw against Enterprise, because Braxton Pickett's a top 5 2A pitcher for the Gunnison Valley Bulldogs. And so they'll hope that they can get through Parowan with Waylon Sorensen or Landry Edwards and be able to have a Braxton Pickett and Parker Staley matchup in that second round game, which would be a phenomenal pitching matchup. Gunnison beat Enterprise earlier this season 4-2. So this is a Gunnison team that has the potential to try to knock off Enterprise. Enterprise, we talk a lot about Parker Staley because he's been the guy for not just this year, but multiple years for the Wolves. I don't think they're as good of a hitting team as they have been in years past. They've struggled there at the plate a little more than they're used to. Eric Phelps, though, as the freshman, has been a really good second pitcher for Enterprise, so he'll be a key piece for them as well. But I really look forward to that second round matchup, kind of like the Kanab South Severe one. I think Enterprise Gunnison could be a similar type of really good matchup if Gunnison is able to save Braxton Pickett for that second round.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Beaver and North Summit.
Yeah, Beaver, coming in as the 2 seed, in my opinion, they should have got the number 1 seed. I think they've earned it for what they've done this year. Region champions out of by far the toughest region. There's only the 2 2A regions, but that is a brutal region, as you already said, Kaden, with those 4 teams. And Beaver is one of those other 3 teams that I say is one of the favorites to win it. It's a very good team. Coach Carter's done a good job with that squad. They can hit, they can pitch. They don't have a guy like a Parker Staley or a Riker Freeman, but they have 3 or 4 really good number 2s, I guess you would say. So that's a good Beaver team. North Summit's way down this year. So Beaver should get past that one. The 10-7 is very intriguing to me. Duchesne coming into this year, Kyson Giles for Duchesne came in as one of the, I think most people would agree, as one of the 3 best pitchers, along with Parker Staley and Riker Freeman. I think Kyson Giles was that third pitcher in 2A that you looked at as a game changer. He got hurt first week of the season. We haven't seen him. He ends up pitching yesterday against Grand, so he's back on the mound. And if he's back and healthy and can pitch like he has been for the last 3 years, then Duchesne is all of a sudden, if they can get past Milford, which is a good Milford team, they become a team that might be able to knock off the number 2 with Giles on the mound. And that's the beauty of baseball, right? Pitching matchups are huge. Milford, those been very good. They've played those top 4 teams in the 2A West region. They've played all of them pretty tough. And Milford's definitely been the number 5 team in that region. They just have to go through 4 really good teams and play 8 games against those 4 teams. So makes it really tough for them. But with guys like Toby Orange, Kilo Sosi, the Barnes, I mean, Milford's a solid team too. And that ends up being a really fun pod out of Beaver with those 3 teams.
Absolutely. Well, Robert, appreciate having you on, breaking down the 2A baseball tournament. It's going to be absolutely fun. And I love how 2A does it as well. And I know they might, they're always talking about switching things up, but I kind of like that they have these little pods at the home sites where you just get a full-on tournament at these home sites. I think it's a lot of fun and to go hang out at.
And fun for these kids. I don't know if there's a buzz, but going to BYU. If you can get to May 8th, they're playing at BYU. And I know, Robert, you'd probably be there calling those games. That's kind of exciting. Are the players, coaches, parents excited about going to the Y?
Yeah, I mean, they've been there. They were there a couple years ago as well. And so, yeah, certainly they're excited about it. They've those that have been playing for the last few years, though, have been there already. Which is good for them because they've already experienced that field. I hear a lot of the talk is, yeah, it's fun to play there. They're excited to be there. A lot of the talk is, though, all right, a home run at Sal Severe's field now is now a flyout at Miller Field, right? And so you've got to change maybe how your approach at the plate's going to be too with the bigger field. And so I think that's usually a lot of the talk with the coaches is more concerned about making sure they have their players ready to play with the dynamics of the field, the actual setup of the field. But certainly the environment is fun. The field's amazing. The view's awesome, right? And they're always excited about that. And so, yeah, they're certainly looking forward to it. But a lot of them, like I said, have already been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Rob. Thanks for the time, buddy.
Hey, thank you guys.
All right, well, let's bring on Enterprise's coach Kyle Bundy. Coach, welcome on in. Hey, I got to say, too, listen, I had Coach Bundy as a history teacher when I was in high school. So, we go way back. Me and Coach Bundy go back a ways.
We go back a ways, huh?
Yeah, and also a PE teacher of mine as well.
Hold on. Was Kaden any good in history class, Coach?
Well, it depended on the day. It depended on the day and the hour, There might have been a head bobbing going on now and again.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm just curious, right out of the gate, what was your reaction to 3C? We just heard Robert say, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4 could have went any different direction. What are your thoughts on where you guys land in the 2A bracket?
I think it was one of those things where I think we could have ended up 3, 4, 5. And we didn't know what the heck was going to happen come Friday. When we got into that game Friday against Parowan, we're like, man, we might be able to bump that up a little bit. So I think, the kids worked hard to get there. And so I was glad to see that happen. And I think it puts us in a pretty good situation.
So let's talk about, first off, you're going to be playing Water Canyon first. You got to get through them. But once that's done, you've got Gunnison Valley or Parowan on the other side of it. I know you guys had some battles with Gunnison Valley. So, looking forward to maybe playing them. That could be a little bit of a battle there being played at Enterprise High School.
That could be, and the weather could be a determining factor too. I mean, we're supposed to have really crappy weather, 40-mile-an-hour winds, and it always blows in. So a deep ball really isn't even possible. Yeah, we're actually kind of looking forward to that game because, we beat them pretty handily the first game with Pickett pitching. And that second game was, the third game of a long weekend. So, yeah, the kids were a little bit tired. So this could be a fun game.
As Robert Lovell mentioned, I'm sure you heard, he was talking up Parker Staley a whole lot, saying he's potentially the best pitcher in all of 2A right now. What's it like to have an athlete like that on the mound for you?
Oh, it's been awesome. Okay, having him for the last 4 years has been unreal. We usually don't have a pitcher like that. We usually have kind of like Beaver's got. What he was saying was a bunch of just number 2 guys. And so to have him, it's been pretty fun. He's mentally in the game all the time, and he just controls his pitches pretty dang well. So it's fun to have him.
As good as he is on the mound, 7.0.51 ERA. He's even sensational at the plate. He's hitting 479 right now. Is he getting any looks at the next level? Is this guy a bona fide college baseball player, Coach?
Yeah, he's actually already signed. He signed with Glendale.
Okay.
So,
nice.
So that's what he's planning on doing. He's heading down there.
Good. I figured they'd find these studs from these smaller towns. Good job by the JUCO coaches down there in Arizona. Tell us about some other guys you expect big production from in the state tournament if you guys are going to make a run and play for the title.
Our seniors, we've got 6 seniors, and they've really done a pretty good job this year. A lot of these kids have stepped up. Kyler Randall has been leading off for us, and he's actually from last year to this year has stepped up huge. So he's come up in that spot, and if he can get the game started off real quick, I think we'll be fine. We got him. We got Clint Bundy, who has been pounding the ball lately. He's probably the one that's picked up the bat the biggest in the last 8 games or so. I think in the last 8 or 10 games, he's actually been leading us, even above Parker. We have Trayson Whitman, basketball player, but he's actually been swinging it pretty well. And Clayton Bowler has been our cleanup guy. And, they've all come through in some pretty tough spots and started to pick up some RBIs.
Where's the rivalry? I mean, is there somebody you want to see in this bracket play? Is the bracket laid out? Is there an exciting matchup down the road? If you can get that far, Coach, that you're excited to maybe have a chance to play?
Yeah, I mean, our whole region is just battle bruisey. And so rivalries, everybody likes Beaver, everybody wants to play Beaver. That'd be a pretty good matchup. South Sevier is just one of those teams that Kanab South Sevier game, I would actually like to go watch that one. I know that's not possible, but that game could be brutal. So, we'd love to see Beaver. We'd love to play Kanab. I think it's just our region. I mean, we played San Juan. We actually beat San Juan down in Virgin Valley, but it was their first or second game, and their pitchers really struggled. So that one's actually kind of a fun one to look at too. So we just kind of take what we can get.
Well, the way that the bracket's lined up right now is that first round at BYU, you could be seeing potentially Beaver, who I believe you guys split with this year, if that's not a mistake right there.
Yeah, we split with them. We beat them at home, and they wound up picking up a couple of late runs here to win that one. It was actually a really good game. Weather determined that game too. So
it's Enterprise. When you're playing in Enterprise, you better expect some high winds, especially at the baseball field. That baseball field is placed right at the end of the canyon right there. So you're getting high winds coming in from left field pretty much every single game.
Yeah. There's a reason why we don't hit 7, 8, 9 home runs, because I think if we were playing anywhere else, we probably could a lot of years.
Yeah, it's definitely a field that's built for the elements. That's for sure. Coach, appreciate you hopping on and joining us. Best of luck to the Wolves in the tournament this year, and we hope you guys take it far.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks, Gabe.
Thanks, Coach.
There you go, buddy.
Yeah,
good stuff there from Coach Bundy and Chandler Nyberg. Before that, great insight from Robert Lovell. Try to put a bow on this thing. Maybe we're putting a bow on this thing, we can flash through it. And if you tuned in a little bit late, we can show you all the 4A quadrants again really quickly one final time before we sign off. But thanks to KSL for allowing us to help out and host. It's been fun for Kaden and I to sit in. And we don't follow Enterprise as close as we do our Region 9 schools. But, man, they got as good a shot as anybody to win a state championship. It was fun to talk to Coach Bundy.
Yeah, they do. And kind of like he mentioned, when you're in a region, it's a lot like Region 9, right? You can look at Region 18, and it's so much like Region 9 where you've got a lot of really good programs that just sit there and beat up on each other all year. And so a team that's ranked 5th in the state is realistically a team that could be ranked 1st.
And from
so
what
it's kind of fun.
I don't know about you, but from what I'm hearing from Robert there, like I think a lot of schools are like we don't know where we're going to be.
Yeah.
And now they know. Some people are probably ecstatic. They like their path, the matchups in the 2A bracket. Others are like, we should have been higher. We should have been higher. But at the end of the day, you got to be the best. You got to beat the best. And whoever's in your path is in your path. So,
absolutely.
But I'm sure there's some people that are like, whoa, really? We're the number 5 seed in South Severe. Robert really likes them. They're the 5 seed.
Yeah, absolutely.
The 4A, you can see some of the brackets there. Desert Hills, the number 1 overall seed. They're at the 4-5 potential matchup. If it goes chalky there with Park City, Timpanogos in quadrant number 2. Snow Canyon, defending state champs. They got to get past the winner of Uinta and Mountain View, and then Bear River will await the winner of Provo and Logan. And then down there at the bottom, that could be a juicy matchup if it goes chalk with Ridgeline and Dixie in that first game at Brucehurst Field on May 12th.
Yeah, get ready for it. So, as you mentioned, too, Utah Tech hosting the 4A state matchups, BYU hosting 2A. So, both great locations. I know that personally, being that you and I are based out of Southern Utah, I'm really excited to have the state tournament back here in our town.
It's been a while.
Which is going to be a lot of fun. It's been 3 years since we've had it here, I believe. So, 4 years.
And glad the UHSA and Utah Tech got together, made that work. Yeah. And it's fun to have it down here every once in a while. Like we said earlier in the broadcast, if you've been with us the whole show, a Region 9 team has won it 2016 through 2024.
Well, and it also makes weather almost less of a factor. You're not going to get those cold games. You might get some hot games.
Yeah, you might
if you're not used to playing.
You might not
want
to wear your blacks.
Yeah,
if you're
not used to playing in the heat, it's going to be brutal. Last time we played here, it was 100-degree weather. So I mean, it depends on what you're going to get. Obviously, we're still a few weeks out from that. Weather is far enough out. We don't know what it will be, but it could be a factor more towards the heat side than anything.
I'm looking at that Ridgeline team with their 2 pitchers. And I'm looking at, that game potentially Jake Andreas versus one of those 2 studs at Ridgeline. That could be great. I'm hearing good things. I know Ken Nelson does a great job at Timpanogos. They were so close last year, lost a 1-run game to Snow Canyon, got knocked out. So Timpanogos, Park City could be thrilling. There's some great potential matchups. But let's get through the regionals. We'll get to the supers, and then we'll see who's dogpiling in St. George on May 17th.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun.
Hey, thanks to KSL for giving us a chance to host. Thanks to UCCU for our sponsorship and their continued support. Love where you bank. For Kaden Foremaster, I'm Devin Dixon. Hope you enjoyed the coverage. There's your 2A. There's your 4A brackets. Let's play ball. We'll have a ton of games for you. In fact, Kaden and I and our team will be helping out with some of the 4A streams with KSL. So you'll hear more from us if you're a 4A baseball fan. Robert, I know, is going to help out with a lot of the 2A stuff. You guys have been great. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Enjoy the baseball tournaments.